proud sponsors of the Cars Ireland YouTube channel. Untitled.ie, for car history data you can trust. Buying a used car? Get an exclusive coupon code now. See the comment section for more details.
This is the Mercedes-Benz GLC, the brand's mid-size crossover that sits in what you might call the fancy Qashqai end of the market. A family-friendly SUV with a premium badge that would traditionally rival the likes of BMW's X3 and Audi's Q5. It's been around since 2015, and while it was given a recent facelift, the big news for this latest 2021 version of the GLC is the introduction of a new and slightly unusual powertrain as a diesel plug-in hybrid in this 300de. Now, the reason that's unusual is that plug-in hybrids are generally powered by petrol, whereas this one aims to offer the flexibility and fuel economy of a diesel on a longer spin, while still being able to operate as an EV for shorter distances or the daily commute with a fully electric range of up to 43 kilometres. So it kind of sounds like the best of all worlds, really. But let's take a closer look and find out. If you're in the market for a GLC, we have hundreds of models to choose from, both new and old, on CarsIreland.ie. Now, unfortunately, as is quite often the case with a plug-in hybrid, the boot space has taken a bit of a hit to allow for the battery pack underneath, reducing the usual 550 litres that you'd get in the ICE version of the GLC to 395. Now, that said, it is still a very good usable space. You've got a nice wide opening, a good flat load area, a handy compartment underneath to store your charging cables, a couple of shopping bag hooks, these two very handy quick release buttons to drop your back seats from back here, which is always a nice touch, and a very fancy electric tailgate. Now, space in the back is identical to what you'll get in the standard GLC, which is, in other words, very spacious. This is me sitting behind myself at 167 centimetres, and as you can see there, I have more legroom than I'll ever need, as with someone a good deal taller than I. But realistically, the kids who are most likely to be the ones sitting back here will have plenty of space to stretch out. There's also plenty of room to fit even the largest and bulkiest of rear-facing child seats without impacting on front passenger legroom. It also is quite impressive width-wise, although a middle seat passenger's legroom would be quite impacted by this large transmission tunnel. So I would say definitely geared more towards 2 rather than 3 back here in terms of comfort. But 2 would be very comfortable indeed, thanks to a pull-down centre armrest, complete with some hidden storage and some very cool pop-out cup holders. You've got tablet holders on the back of the seats and a couple of USB charging options for keeping said tablets charged and kids occupied and happy. Front of the cabin is pretty much your typical new Mercedes layout, with the exception of this slightly less impressive single screen version of the MBUX Infotainment System. Most of the newer models have gone dual screen right across the dash now. But as I said earlier, the GLC has been around for quite a while now. It's probably due a bit of a refresh in here too. It still looks good, it's just that when you've seen that new system, it's quite hard to unsee it. But more importantly, it works well. Once you get to grips with this touchpad system down here, the graphics are crisp, it's easy to follow, and the cabin as a whole just feels very well put together and plush and high-tech and befitting of the price tag, I would say. Which leads me on nicely to spec and what you get for your money. The GLC range starts at about €54,500 for the entry-level diesel model, whereas this plug-in hybrid version starts at 63. And one of the reasons for that quite large jump is that you can only get it in this top spec AMG line trim. Now, that's not bad news when it comes to styling, because it means you get those awesome 19-inch alloy wheels and AMG line body kit. But also when it comes to tech in the cabin, because it comes with pretty much everything you could ever ask for, including the touchscreen infotainment system with a reversing camera, sat-nav, parking assistance. You've got heated leather seats with 4-way lumbar adjustment, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, tons of safety gear, and really there's no reason whatsoever to hit the option list at this level unless you really want to. The 300de is powered by a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine and a 90 kilowatt electric motor. The pure electric range is quoted at 43 kilometres, but as always with these things, that will depend massively on how and where and even who is driving. Conditions this week have unfortunately been suboptimal for an electric car. It's been very cold and rainy, and so I've managed to squeeze just about 30 kilometres from that. Now, that's not to say that the full 40 or so kilometres is not possible. I'm just saying that you would probably need quite a light foot and some better conditions to achieve that. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I really do think that Mercedes e-Power is something quite special to drive. However they've managed the weight distribution of that battery, they've done a really good job of it, because the car just feels much lighter and more agile than what you might expect when you consider the mass that's actually on board. It's really quick off the mark. In fact, it's got the equivalent to more than 300 brake horsepower between the engine and the electric motor combined. And that, combined with that great Mercedes refinement, that spot-on suspension setup, combined with the near silence of the cabin, just makes for a really smooth and premium feeling drive. I'm also quite happy to report that the transition between the two power types is quite a smooth one, and there's no major shock to the system when the diesel engine kicks in. Now, there is a slight bit more of a grumble under the hood naturally, but it remains for the most part a very smooth and refined experience. The fuel economy at that stage, when the battery runs dry, is probably as you'd expect for a diesel SUV of this size. I have been averaging between 6 and 6.5 litres per 100 kilometres. Now, those official figures of between 1 and 2 litres per 100 kilometres are probably going to be quite difficult to achieve in real life, bar from the most disciplined of plug-in hybrid drivers. But if you were to drive this car, or any other plug-in hybrid for that matter, in the way that they're intended, which is on electric power as much as possible, and reserving that diesel engine for the odd and rare longer spin, well then the potential fuel savings and benefits in general are pretty hard to ignore. The Mercedes-Benz GLC 300de, that's a lot of letters to remember, is a very unique offering in the class. In fact, you won't find any other brand offering a diesel plug-in hybrid SUV. And it just so happens to also be a very premium, very desirable offering too. Do let us know what you think in the comment section below. Is diesel hybrid plug-in the way to go, or should we all just be fast forwarding to full fat EV instead? We love to hear your feedback, and don't forget, if you're in the market for a Mercedes, new or old, you can find hundreds to choose from on CarsIreland.ie from some of Ireland's most trusted dealers.